So I've got some bad news, some slightly worse news, and some really quite terrible news. The bad news is that after a narrow loss to Newcastle in the last episode, we are now out of both the Carabao Cup and the FA Cup. That means the only competition left for us is now the Premier League, but the slightly worse news is that in 9th position, we really don't have that much to play for. And the even worse news is that we are facing Manchester City, Tottenham, Arsenal, and Crystal Palace in today's episode, which means we are facing the top 3 teams in the Premier League and 4 of the top 6, which means points are going to be incredibly hard to come by, especially against the perennial champions of England. As we jump into a featured game of the episode immediately, it's a somewhat new look Manchester City side with Antonio Silva and Sergio Gomez coming into the back line, Kirkju and Moretti joining in midfield. Other than that, it's the names that we know and appreciate in the Premier League at the moment, like Foden, like Haaland, like Doku. The final target in our crosshairs really is European football, and we're going to have to overcome some of these big sides in today's episode if we're going to achieve that at the very least. So Bissek comes into the centre of a back 5 to make his debut today, and it's the strongest 11 other than that Timo Werner joining Josh Sargent in attack. We've caused a few upsets already this season, and there's no reason we can't do so again here in today's episode. So without further ado, let's head straight over to Craven Cottage and see if we can get that ball rolling. So we are up in the commentary box for the first of a number of tough fixtures in today's episode. 3 teams at the very top of the Premier League in Manchester City, Tottenham and Arsenal. Crystal Palace, who currently sit in 6th, and then Brighton at the Amex. I believe at the Amex anyway. Probably isn't going to be the easiest fixture we've ever played either. However, if we get a couple of upsets in today's episode, there's no reason that we can't finish in a European place. And that would at least be some consolation for not winning a trophy this season. Bissek does start at the centre of defence today. I'm excited to see him. Excited to see how he handles Haaland. Of course, Manchester City will need to win the ball back at some point if we are set to see that matchup. Doing a good job just of keeping possession of as Manchester City press. Really loose pass from Bissek. Does allow space for Emerson Royale down the right hand side though. Beats Gvardiol initially, but good pace from Gvardiol to get back into the play. Can't prevent it from going out for a Fulham free kick though. Nope, that's not what just happened. For a Fulham corner, which Timo Werner, strangely enough, will deliver. I guess that's fine. Does find Josh Sargent almost. And hooked clear by Manchester City. Emerson Royale once more. Phil Foden for company. Just about edges past him. Delivers an early cross, blocked by Gvardiol's hand. And this time it is going to be a free kick. In a fairly dangerous area that Ruben Vargas looks like he's about to take. A really good opening 7 or 8 minutes or so here at Craven Cottage. Putting Manchester City under some sustained pressure. It's another good ball in. But again cleared away by Man City, and Foden can try and get a quick counter-attack started. I think we might drop into our ultra-defensive game plan immediately now that that period of pressure and possession has subsided. That was kind of the plan heading into the game anyway. That's partly why Timo Werner got the nod ahead of somebody like Rodrigo Muniz today. Because we can easily drop Timo Werner into left midfield. We're going to look for him here with a ball lofted forward. Cut out by Ruben Diaz though. Phil Foden finds Haaland. Nicely worked by Man City in the space on the right-hand side, but the pass is a loose one, and they do relinquish possession. We will drop into that ultra-defensive game plan then, which sees us set up with a flat back 5 and a flat midfield 4, and we'll be leaving Sargent up front alone. Really nice little ball into the feet of Yusuf, round the corner for Calvin Bassey, who'd stepped up from his position at the centre of defence. Couldn't quite find him though. Nice little passing pattern there, however. And I think if the opportunity to play that little pattern arises again, we should take it as often as we could. Because a better pass into the feet of Calvin Bassey would have had Manchester City in trouble. Already it looks like we might actually need to reconfigure our ultra-defensive setup, because we've got Josh Sargent at left midfield, we've got Schlager at right midfield, and this isn't the way that I want us to be set up, obviously. Moretti. What's this? Offside somehow? I think it is offside. Let's make those changes quickly. So we do now have Timo Werner left midfield, Ruben Vargas right midfield, Josh Sargent up front. At least we will have in a moment when the players have had a chance to find their new positions. Hopefully we're not a goal down when finally they do. It looks like we have dealt with the Manchester City pressure for now. Nunez. Really good challenge. That's a really poor pass from Calvin Bassey. Just got nothing on it. Really good challenge, though, to dispossess Erling Haaland. And we can invite pressure from Manchester City a little bit more in this particular setup. Carried away by Bernd Leno. We just can't clear our lines. We did well there to put it a foot on a couple of occasions. Just couldn't clear our lines, though. Delivered into the box in search of Erling Haaland. Oh my God, how is that not in? How is that not in? Absolutely towering header from Haaland. Cleared off the line from Emerson Royale. I think Bernd Leno was beaten. And delivered once more. Again, won by a Manchester City head. And again, we can't clear our lines. Looking for Timo Werner. I probably should have just hooked to clear up the line. There was nobody there, but would have been a slightly safer area. Bissek does manage to poke clear. Sargent can't win the initial challenge, but does win a free kick. I'll be happy enough with the point here if we can manage it. I think to be fair, if we can take a point against all three of our first opponents here today, in Man City, Arsenal and Tottenham, I think we would have to feel that we would have to consider that a victory. I'm not sure we are going to be able to manage that, but 3 or 4 points against those three sides would be fantastic. Bissek comes across to chase down Haaland. Very, very pacey at the back. Bissek, one of the main reasons we brought him in to usurp Issa Diop at the centre of that back three. Jeremy Doku just a little early to go there. Just an arm and a knee offside. Decent enough with the ball at his feet. Bissek as well. A big, strong, powerful defender. Really excited to see what he can do over this last portion of the season. A little bit disjointed at the back, though, at the moment. Struggling to play out through the back three. Nice little ball up to Yusuf. Takes it down, turns away from a handful of Manchester City defenders, and that's such a poor touch from Sargent. We had Timo Werner in behind if Sargent could have just corralled the ball there. Couldn't quite manage it. And again, that's a half chance gone begging. That's such a beautiful pass. 1-0 City. Just picked apart. Haaland opens the scoring. And fair enough. Fair enough. It's such a well-weighted pass. Such a well-timed run. It's Calvin Bassey stepping up. Either to catch Haaland offside or to try and press in midfield. Either way, Haaland gets in behind. And there's only one result when he's in that kind of position.
Goal for Manchester City.
So we will be coming from behind if we are going to grab anything from today's game. Really nice from Rico Henry. Finds Timo Werner. Cuts inside. Can he get the shot away and equalize immediately? Not quite. Good little run from Timo Werner. Should have just pulled the trigger though. Maybe half a step earlier. Doku. Nunez finds Haaland. Almost cut out well by Adrabayo. City get the lucky bounce on this particular occasion though. And again, that's a really good intervention by Bissek. But again, Manchester City get the fortunate deflection. And it goes straight back to a City shirt. Vargas. Doku for company. Just releases to Emerson Royale. And we'll work it across the back line into Calvin Bassey. Schlager. Slow on the ball. It's been pretty anonymous so far, Schlager. It's good work alongside Bissek to win the ball back there, though. Bissek once more. Rico Henry at left back. Pressed by both Haaland and Foden. And Calvin Bassey just steps up to release some of that pressure. Yusuf. Royale. They're doing a decent job of keeping possession today, to be fair, but it feels a little like Manchester City are letting us have it. At least until we kind of approach the halfway line. And then they start to press. Why are you sliding, Rico Henry? Why? Absolutely no need. Manchester City come away once more. Nunez. Nunez or Nunez? He doesn't have the little accent over the N. Or really over any of the letters in his name. So I guess it must just be Nunez. Always feels strange saying it like that though. Really good block, Bissek. Bissek's been impressive today. Only, 40 minutes into his Fulham debut, but he's been really solid at the centre of that back three. Timo Werner lofts it in towards, I guess, Ruben Vargas. Not too many particularly good targets to aim for in the box, though. As Henry finds Schlager with the throw. There's Henry once more. Henry's been poor. We, of course, don't have Owen Weindal on the bench or in the squad at all to bring in for Rico Henry, so we go as Rico Henry goes down the left-hand side from now until the end of the season. We will, I think, have to... Can we find Werner? Yes, we can. Sargent. We can't quite find him. We will, I think, have to sign a free agent left-back just as purely as depth. Just as somebody to bring in as an emergency option if Rico Henry ends up getting injured or if we need to rest him for a game. Oh, Yusuf was in such a good position. He's left-footed as well, playing on the right-hand side of midfield. So would have just been able to cut in onto his left foot and get a shot away there. It would have been a tall task to beat Edison from that kind of distance. But it would have been a shot on goal. I'm not sure we've had one in this first half, have we? If we have, it was a pretty innocuous one. And it likely was just the single attempt. Timo Werner, though, looking to change that. Lofts it up towards Vargas at the back post, and there's a little too much on it. I was trying to get the shot away with Timo Werner there initially. That was what I was shaping to do. But the ball just ran a little long for that. And the cross made far more sense, and Josh Sargent has handballed it. The cross made more sense. Just a little too deep for Ruben Vargas to get on the end of, though. All in all, though, not a terrible first half. Disappointing to be in 1-0 down. And very few clear-cut opportunities for us in that first period. But I feel like I was about to say I feel like we controlled the game 4 periods in that first half. I would say that was the case only in the first 7 or 8 minutes or so, though, because look, we don't have a shot on goal. And it did very much feel at times in that first period that Manchester City were just allowing us to have possession. And they never really felt threatened. So I'm not sure we did have control. I think we had kind of the illusion of control in that first period. Thank you for checking out this episode of our realistic Norwich City career mode. If you're enjoying the content, make sure you leave a like. And if you want to see more content like this in the future, make sure you hit that subscribe button. We're approaching the end of the FC24 cycle now, but there'll be plenty more content to come with the release of FC25, including 12th man memberships. If you want to get more involved with the channel, check out the membership tiers on my homepage. Memberships start at less than £2 per month and come with a whole host of benefits and rewards, including you being able to feature in my career mode saves. We'll be starting a road to glory with a created club as soon as FC25 drops. So if you want to be included in the save or even feature in our starting 11, become a 12th man member of the channel today. 12th man members also get exclusive early access to all of my videos, not only my career mode series, but also my realistic slider sets and everything else in between. If you want more information about exactly what each tier involves, be sure to check out this video on my homepage. If memberships aren't for you, you can also join the public area of my Discord server, or just keep watching and enjoying the content for free right here on YouTube. As always, I appreciate all of your encouragement and support. Now, let's get back to the video. Let's try and change that in the second period, though. 2 changes for Johannes Thorup at half-time. Yusuf off, Andreas Pereira on. So an extra attacking option in midfield. Schlager is going to sit deep. Vargas and Pereira are going to have license to get forward. Another good challenge by Bissek. Timo Werner has also left the field. Rodrigo Muniz is on to replace him. So another target man up front. Not just from open play, but also, importantly, from set pieces. So we will try and nick something in this second half. If we can keep Manchester City under wraps like we managed to do for long periods in that first half, and just grab a goal from somewhere. As I said, in the first half, I would be happy enough with a point if we can manage it. It does start with preventing Manchester City from scoring again, though, of course. Home fans in full voice. They sense an opportunity to get something from this game as well, by the sounds of it. Schlager sensed an opportunity to come away with the ball there and did exactly that. Not too many options to release that ball to, however. Andreas Pereira with one of those good runs into the channels that we like to see. Manchester City just so well organised defensively. And that's a nice little ball into Foden. What a challenge. Tosin Adrabayo. And Ruben Vargas can come away. Doku for company. Oh, just trying to slip it through to Sargent. Lucky bounce goes in our favour on this occasion, though. We just can't force our way through. We're kind of relying on brute strength and relying on brawn rather than finesse at the moment. Just getting the ball, getting our head down and driving at Manchester City. How has Doku come away with that? Unbelievable pace to get in behind Tosin Adrabayo as well. Adrabayo recovers, or at least delays long enough for Emerson Royale to recover, and it's a good challenge in the end from Emerson Royale. And well worked from Ruben Vargas to win a goal kick. Short to Adrabayo. Bassi. Rico Henry in an advanced position. Another good run into that channel from Andreas Pereira. Can he find Sargent? It's a really good effort, but he can't quite. Robust defending from Silva and Ruben Diaz. Bissek wins the header. Bissek is so good. I wish I bought him earlier. No, Muniz. He starts making the right run and then he starts running directly at me. Foden. Haaland down this right-hand side for City as well. Muniz is going to have to drop in, but he's reluctant to do so. Does so now. And Schlager steps up. Nicely worked from City. Bissek just Harries Haaland and forces him wide. We don't mind Haaland out there. We'd much prefer he was there than in a central position, in and around the penalty area. Nice little turn from Kirchu, though. And it's another good block by Bissek. Rico Henry, nice and early down this left-hand side. It's what we want. It's what we get. Really good ball from Pereira. And now we need another option, and it's just not there. It's just not there. I'm not sure if I missed Muniz there or if he just wasn't in position, but it felt like he was nowhere to be seen. Schlager. Really good ball into the feet of Emerson Royale. One touch and cross. It's two touches, but he does cross and find Sargent. And it's blocked by a Manchester City man and out for a Fulham corner. A bit of life in us yet. Moretti off, Berardi on is going to be the change for Man City as Pereira prepares to deliver the corner. It's across the near post where Sargent is in weight. And Ederson parries away at the near post. A completely free header from Sargent. Nobody within, 3 yards of him. Really, really poor defending from Manchester City. We'll try and loft this one more towards the back post where Bissek lies in wait this time. Like he was shaping to volley it rather than header, which is less than ideal. Haaland finds Esquivadiol, thank God. Thankfully it's not Foden or Jeremy Doku. There's some Royale. Doku left in his wake. Ruben Vargas runs in behind. City can't deal with it. Ederson looked like he was coming for it for a moment and then turned back. Got caught in no man's land a little there. Shame Ruben Vargas wasn't a little quicker. He could have punished the moment of hesitation from the Manchester City goalkeeper. Emerson Royale beaten this time. Does manage to make a recovering challenge though. I think we'll step up into our attacking game plan now. That means that Vargas will move into a number 10 role just behind Sargent and Muniz. And if it stays 1-0 for another 10 minutes or so, then we'll go ultra attacking and really push for an equalizer. Nathan Ake is a fresh pair of legs at the back though. Ruben Vargas finds Sargent. Big switch of play is on, and there's Calvin Bassey. Rico Henry in behind the Manchester City back line. And Rodrigo Muniz has pulled away. Honestly, I swear when you need them to run down the line, they cut inside. When you need them to cut inside, they run directly down the line. Oh, that's so frustrating. Maybe should have released the ball a little bit earlier, to be fair. But Muniz started making the right run. And then as soon as I'm shaping to pass, then changes his tact. Nathan Ake. Playing at right back, is he? Assumed he'd come on at centre back. Foden. No. Another really good passing move from Manchester City. And that's the game. Not a lot you can do about that. Phil Foden, Erling Haaland, these are some of the best players in the world. And as impressive as we've been on defence for most of the game, that's going to happen. Haaland just in far too much space. Bissek had come across to the near post to take the option away from Phil Foden. And in that instance, Adebayo has to come across and pick up Haaland. He doesn't. He just holds his position, and Haaland is just even more open than Sargent was on that free header a short time ago. Nice from Rico Henry. Blocked by Ruben Diaz, though. It was with the hand. I actually don't want to do that. I can't cancel the quick substitution. I mean, it's fresh legs in midfield, but no real reason to take Schlager off there. Henry delivers the corner. Why do I keep getting set pieces confused? Delivers the free kick. Emerson Royale. Not far off. Decent enough effort with the left foot. Doesn't take a deflection on the way through. It's just going to be a Manchester City goal kick. And I figure we may as well drop into our ultra-defensive game plan for the remainder of the game. We could step up into ultra-attacking. But actually, I prefer us to get a goal back in ultra-defensive, because that does invite Man City onto us, and we can potentially hit them on the counter-attack. We step up into ultra-attacking at 2-0 down, and we're just asking for an Erling Haaland hat-trick to be scored, and it is scored nonetheless. Did see an Erling Haaland hat-trick this weekend, of course, and he scores one here against us today. Really good finish. Again, not too much you can do about it. Just got to take your lumps against Manchester City. Just got to hope you can hang in there for long enough that a single goal stolen from a set piece or something like that is enough to get you a result. And if it's not, then you just have to shrug your shoulders and say, really, what more can you do? We'll make our last couple of changes at the very least. So Ruben Vargas to leave the field, Josh Sargent the same, and it's just going to be Issa Diop and Mbabu to come on. A couple of defensive substitutions. Again, not too much point throwing everything at the game now. We're 3-0 down. We want to try and really push to get a goal back. It's more likely that Manchester City would score a fourth than it is that we would score a first. And we don't want to kill our goal difference when we've already conceded among the most goals in the Premier League this season. Can't really afford to destroy our goal difference any more than it already has been. I mean, thankfully we have scored a lot of goals this year as well, but not enough that we can afford to just concede 4 or 5 goals on the regular. It is still fairly close at the top of the Premier League, to be fair. Or not at the very top, but in the kind of 4 to 8, 9 range. There was only about 3 points between us and, I think, 4th position. If not 4th, then certainly 5th. So a couple of wins back-to-back could really do wonders for our league position. It's just, as we said in the intro, back-to-back wins are unlikely to come in this episode. You know, we've started out with a loss here against Manchester City. We've got Spurs and Arsenal to come in the next 2 games. And then Crystal Palace are having a good season as well. And then the Amex, just always a tough place to go. So back-to-back wins in this episode, very, very unlikely. And I think we're going to kind of be scrambling for a point here or there wherever we can manage in today's episode, and just try not to fall too far down into the bottom half of the table. We've kind of gone about this season all wrong, to be honest. Ideally, you want to, if you're going to have a shaky period of form, you want to have that at the start of the season and then start really clicking when the football matters the most, which is, you know, after January. We've gone the exact opposite way. We were absolutely dominant to start the season. We could barely lose. We were firing 4 goals past the likes of Aston Villa, Chelsea. And form just completely fallen off since. And now when the football matters the most, we're struggling for results. I think the fixtures list does have something to do with that as well. We did have a fairly easy start to the season, whereas our tougher fixtures are kind of condensed into this particular period. And that's not ideal. But it's not like we had it wasn't exactly a cakewalk to start the season either. As I said, we faced Aston Villa, we faced Chelsea, and we beat those teams, scoring 4 goals in the process. So, combination of a handful of things, but ideally this season would be reversed. We'd be clicking into gear now, rather than kind of falling apart at the seams now. But I certainly wouldn't say we've fallen apart at the seams today. I think that's an overstatement. I think that's an overreaction. Losing 3-0 to Man City, I mean, it can happen to anyone. And for large portions of the game, we've not been bad at all. As I said at halftime, I think maybe the illusion of control rather than real true control over the game. But we had some decent periods of possession. Didn't do enough with that possession, I don't think, to create enough opportunities to grab the goal that we would have needed to get a result. But try and put in a similar level of performance against Spurs and Arsenal, and who knows, maybe we can come away with something there instead. So, disappointing way to start the episode, but positives to take from the game without doubt. Bissek's performance, certainly a positive. He was excellent at the centre of defence, and I know we conceded 3 goals, but I think between Bissek and then the likes of Bassi, Adrabayo, Jop, we could really pull things together over the last couple of months of the season defensively. Unfortunately though, Bissek does have to make way for Diop for our next game of the episode against Tottenham Hotspur. Only 3 days rest between those 2 games. It's going to be a debut for Darius Alaru in this one instead, however. He starts at centre midfield alongside Schlager and Yusuf. And it's fair to say we had a much better time of it in this one. Former Tottenham Hotspur man Timo Werner almost opening the scoring within 10 minutes for us. Rushed the shot a little bit. It was a narrow angle, but he pulled it over the bar. But just 12 minutes into the game, Josh Sargent would have the opening goal, and it was debutant Darius Alaru who set him up. He played him in behind the Tottenham backline, an equally narrow angle for Sargent as it was for Werner. But Sargent buries his opportunity. Tottenham had their fair share of opportunities in the first half as well. This free kick from Pedro Porro flashing narrowly over the bar. And Bernd Leno diving away to his left-hand side to make a really smart stop after we allowed the Tottenham striker far too much space just outside the penalty area. And the debutant Darius Alaru did set up Josh Sargent for the opening goal. He had the second goal of the game himself. A fairly similar finish to Josh Sargent's, firing across the Tottenham goalkeeper and into the far corner. And we were absolutely flying in this game. Kevin Mbabu was flying down the left-hand side as well, and he picked out Josh Sargent for his second and our third goal of the game to put us really in clear control against Tottenham away from home. It got a little bit nervy in the last 20 minutes or so as Brennan Johnson managed to pull one back for Tottenham Hotspur. No idea how this ended up in the back of the net. Calvin Bassey timed his slide perfectly. It actually came off Bassey's elbow before Johnson was able to fire between the legs of Bernd Leno. And despite Tottenham throwing everything that they could at our goalkeeper, it was Bernd Leno who managed to parry away the final couple of opportunities. This one from Brennan Johnson once more to secure the 3-1 victory. We said if we can manage 3 or 4 points from these next 4 games, we should be happy. We've got 3 of those already with 2 games to go against Arsenal and Crystal Palace. That win does leave us just 4 points behind Liverpool in 5th place as well. So a European spot certainly within sight still this season. Another 3 points against Arsenal would go a long way to securing one of those European places. We know how formidable their 11 can be, but it looks like they've rested a couple of players for this particular fixture. Sambi Lokonga coming into midfield, Nuno Tavares at left back as well. And we do come away with the victory. Despite finishing the game with 10 men, Rodrigo Muniz being sent off 13 minutes from time, and it's Bissek who scores the winner. Ruben Vargas opened the scoring 26 minutes into the game. Saka equalised pretty much on the hour, and it's the new signing, Bissek, who grabs the winner 73 minutes into the game. Muniz sent off 4 minutes later, but we did manage to hang on. That could be such a huge victory. But what did I say in the Manchester City game about back-to-back wins? I said they would be incredibly hard to come by in this particular episode, but that they could completely change our season. Somehow we've managed to grab back-to-back wins against Tottenham Hotspur and then against Arsenal, both, I believe, away from home. And that brings us to our 4th game of the episode against Crystal Palace at Craven Cottage. So our current career mode team against our future FC25 career mode team. And it was easy to see why Crystal Palace are where they are in the table. Bit of a surprise to see them so high, but they attacked with absolute pace and precision. Brian Brobby forcing an early save from Bernd Leno and then flashing his shot wide of the net and into the side netting before, against the run of play, we managed to take the lead, and it was Darius Alaru once more. I knew this guy was going to be a good signing. I didn't realize he would be the sensation that he has been in today's episode, though. Crystal Palace, however, continued to press, and some less than stellar defending gave them another opportunity to grab their first goal of the game. Yet again, though, it was Bernd Leno that kept us ahead. Crystal Palace did equalize 60 minutes into the game, though, through Adam Wharton. It was a ball lofted into the penalty area from the free kick. Wharton rose highest to win the header, and it looped over Bernd Leno, who'd stepped off his line. And from there, it was back and forth as both teams searched for a winner. Darius Alaru yet again causing issues for Crystal Palace. Sam Johnston this time keeping his side level. And as we failed to find a winner in the game, Crystal Palace managed to do exactly that. A well-worked passing move down the left-hand side and finished incredibly well into the top corner. So disappointing defeat after we played really well enough to get something from the game. Probably a draw would have been the fair result, but Crystal Palace were a real handful going forward. Brian Brobby up front in particular, causing no end of issues for us, which leaves us with just one game left to play in today's episode. And I think the success of today's episode depends on the result that we get at the Amex against Brighton. We've got 2 wins, 2 surprising wins, really, 2 defeats, one of which I would say is relatively surprising. If we can grab a win against Brighton, I think it will have been a very successful episode. A draw, I think, will be acceptable. And I think if we lose, it'll probably leave us feeling a little bit disappointed. And indeed, we do lose, and it does leave a bit of a sour taste on an episode that saw us beat Tottenham and Arsenal. Bustos opened the scoring for Brighton before Buonanotte put them 2-0 up. Xaver Schlager managed to grab one back 75 minutes into the game, but not enough to grab a result. So we finished the episode exactly where we began it, in 9th position in the Premier League. We are just 3 points away from Crystal Palace in 5th position, but they, like Man United, Liverpool, Newcastle, Leeds, do have a game in hand on us. And it's our goals against that has really let us down this season. 49 goals against. It's just so many more than the other teams in and around our kind of position. And now that we've not been banging 4 past every other team, the goals for have leveled out. They're very much kind of in line with the teams around us. 45, 43, 42. We've scored a few more goals, but we've conceded far more. We really have conceded a similar number of goals to those teams right at the bottom of the table. And even bottom of the table, Leicester City have only conceded 35. They've only scored 15, though, which is why they find themselves bottom of the table. But it's Ipswich, it's Everton. Those are the kind of teams we're in amongst in terms of goals against. With a handful of difficult fixtures now out of the way, though, things do start getting a little bit easier on the home stretch. We do have Southampton and Leeds to take on. And whilst we do have some difficult teams like Newcastle, who we will take on alongside Southampton and Leeds in the next episode, like Manchester United, like Chelsea, we do have the likes of Wolves, Brentford, Leicester, Nottingham Forest. Are they really an easy game, though? They beat us 7-2 last time out. And Everton before we finish the season. So a bit of a mixed bag in today's episode. A couple of really impressive performances and results, but a couple of equally disappointing ones. But with only a handful of games left here on FC24, all we can do is try our best to finish the season on a high, and we'll continue to do that in the next episode. I hope to see you there. Take it easy.